Hello, everybody. This is Rudy Carl Alexander, and this is Sportstake. And this is our 39th episode. We've been doing this a while. We've been talking the strength of sports. And today we have a wide variety of discussion that we are going to have. And we have a variety of guests with us. We have Mr. Elanis Westbrook. We have Mr. Amadou from New York, and we have the perennial guest, the strong guest, Dennis Brantley with us. So we're going to get into the deep heart of sports. The first thing we want to talk about is the All-Star game. Did everybody see that?
I saw portions of it. I saw the slam dunk contest. I saw the 3-point contest. I saw the skills contest. As far as the actual All-Star games, because you got to realize it was 2 All-Star games that Sunday that led up to that. So I saw some of those games. So yeah, I saw it. My opinion on it. I would rather they go back to the old style. I know they got to mix it up a little bit to try to get fan interest, but I'm not liking the going to 40. Going to 40, I mean, you get to 40 so quickly, man. The game's over so quickly. I don't like that. I don't like that style that they have right now.
Amadou, what you think? What you thought about the All-Star game? He doesn't hear me. Brother Elanis, what did you think? You on mute, brother?
Actually, Brody, I missed it. I was in the middle of trying to celebrate my mom's birthday. She turned 93 that weekend, so I actually missed it. And I didn't get a chance to see much of any of the. I did see which I thought was interesting was the celebrity. I saw like bits and pieces of the celebrity game the night before, and that was about it. After that, I didn't see anything.
Understood. The big thing now is they are questioning and talking about changing the format to international players against the American players. That is the big push right now. So it would have been Wembley and Jokic and some of the Canadian players against the American players with LeBron James. Amadou, what you think about that?
I think it's a go, man. They should definitely do that because NBA has always been an international game, and you always want to get the international community involved. And it only makes sense to get I know I watch something when I have rooting interests and I know the players. And the international players are well known, so it only makes sense for the NBA to expand in that direction.
Understood. I think it makes sense too. What you think, DD?
I think they should go back to the traditional format because you know when you're talking about international against American players, you creating a division, and you want unity, not a division. I think you need to go back to the old format, East versus West. That is reward for making an All-Star game. I think guys who are first or second year in the league, if they're not All-Star, they shouldn't be part of festivities unless they're taking, a part of some of the extra events like 3-point shooting, a dunk contest, something like that. And maybe for the basketball game, one, you can cut the amount of time they play and give a bigger incentive for its payment, like they do for most championship games. The championship, you win a championship team, like for the NFL, I think you got $190,000 for each player, and I think the loser got $96,000 in the Super Bowl. Well, do something like that. Increase the incentive, cut down the time limit. Instead of having a full game, they still go on 4 quarters. Instead of 15 minutes, go 12 minutes. And that way you increase the speed of the game and the intensity of the game. But I like the old format, because my biggest problem in the NBA right now, I just can't hardly, because I still love it, but I can't identify with the players because they move so much. And that's the difference between the 1980s and the 70s and the 60s. We knew who Magic Johnson team was. We knew who Larry Bird team. We knew who Michael Jordan team was. And right now, that's the biggest problem with the NBA. you can't identify with the team because nobody's on the team long enough to identify with them.
I kind of heard some of your quotes from Charles Barkley. I think you was listening at Charles Barkley and going along with that in some context. But that's a good point. But I think it's gotten to the international level of interest, and I think what we did 30 years ago is not going to work today. Tie this all up, Phil, please.
Well, basically, you know, I'm just like the old school dudes, East versus West. There's enough international players in the NBA now to still make the All-Star team, the good ones at least. So, you know, I mean, there's intensity when you got something to play for, like he said. DD's right. But at the same time, that's what the Olympics is for, when you play for your own country to represent. But the NBA is the NBA. Just like Canada don't want us messing with hockey, we don't want other people messing with the NBA. That's invented in America, just like baseball. But I do welcome the other international players because they're good. They're in here now. We can't do nothing about it. I mean, and they're going to compete. So you vote them in, you play the game, you may modify it a few things, but let them play and give the winners some incentive. And then, but what's more fascinating to me about All-Star Weekend, how this guy won the dunk contest 3 years in a row? He ain't even really in the NBA. He's a G League player. Mac McClung, he won dunk contest 3 times.
Exactly. The guy's like
a wonderful
player.
To wrap it up.
To wrap it up. To this point, this season, 0 points.
No, to wrap it up, the NBA's biggest competition. The NBA's biggest competition is the NFL. And if you're trying to compete with the NFL, you need to go international. You need to have players represent their countries in a sense.
You said it yourself, the NBA is international. But the NBA, National Basketball Association, travels. They send players out, players come in. All I'm saying is, but the All-Star game is special. It's not just they're making a travesty of it to me. With all these different things, you can have some skills contests. International players win those most of the time anyway. So it's okay. We can do that. Like Didi said, your first and second year, you got to kind of pay your dues, you know, unless you're just a superstar in the league right out of the box like Magic, like LeBron. Ain't no international players done that yet.
I would say this, guys. I would say this. This day and age, you got to come up with some kind of different methods. You can't use the same methods we used 30 years ago. And this is a whole new environment. We got AI, we got internet, we got all these other things you got to compete with.
But the game is still fundamental. It's still
that's true.
Who plays the best. And I'm saying international players contribute to the game. They don't dominate the game yet. When they dominate, that might be a difference. But I do agree with some of the things you have to do. That's why I said the skills contest. The game itself is the game itself. But anyway,
the MVP for the past couple of years has been an international player. So they are dominating the game.
That's fine. But he's surrounded by good American players too to win. And who
wins
the Olympics though? Who wins the Olympics?
Go ahead, D.
What I'm talking about, see, what he just said, all you're doing is creating a division. Now you got the NBA, you got people talking about what the international players are better than American players, and now you create a division. You don't want to do that. You want the All-Star game is a celebration, but you also want to make competitive. International players are going to make some of the All-Star team. What I'm saying again, go back to East-West. That's my opinion. Go back to the East-West versus West. Cut the time limit down, increase the incentive for winning, and you have a competitive game. But for as that division, I don't like division. And now you got guys talking about what the international players are best players. Then you got American players. Let's create division. We got enough division as it is in this world. We don't need it anymore. That's what the purpose of the Olympics. The Olympics is for that. You play for your country. You represent your country. That is the purpose of the Olympics, not the NBA.
I understand where you're coming from, Dennis, completely. But I also like that idea of doing the American players versus the world players. So I'm thinking, how about do this on that Friday night, you have the United States versus the world players. And then you come back on Friday, you get that unity back, All-Star game. Now you get that unity back going back into the season because now they're playing back together again. They're back on the same team. Now you got the unity back. How about
you asking the NBA players to play all out?
That's
for
what I'm
two
saying.
games,
You need two teams for that. You can't do that with the same players.
Yeah, you can't do that with the same players. because and you're trying to ask them to compete.
Yeah. Yeah, you can. If you cut it down to say 4 8-minute quarters as opposed to 4 12-minute quarters, now it can be done. It can be
Are
done.
you wasting your time with that though?
No, you're not. No, well,
Okay,
it's
what about
what you're
pre-injury?
doing right now?
Because they're not
It's-
gonna play that hard anyway. They're not gonna play all out. They're gonna play hard. But come on, you probably have to split that up to 2 different teams. We got enough players to do it. I have no problem with what you said, but you're not gonna take the same starters for the main All-Star game and then put them in that game. That's 2 different. Why you just can't do that in the summer? Call it a big summit and do it in the summer. Let guys volunteer to do it.
But Phil, what's the problem with that? You talking about a game on Friday night, and then you got another game on Sunday night.
It's too much.
You got 2 days
It's
off.
too
It's
much.
All-Star weekend. It's All-Star weekend. That's like DD said. It's a celebration. They're not going there to work. They do that in the summer.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
That's
an
my idea.
exhibition. It's an exhibition, so it's set aside for the fans. You want the fans to have some
Absolutely.
excitement. But I agree with Dennis. I think they should stay with the East-West format and create some type of incentive. Like if the West wins, then they get home court advantage during the playoff or during the championship. Or if the East wins, then they get home court. Sort of like what they did in baseball with the
I think
All-Star
money
game.
is a better incentive in that aspect because if a team wins 60 games and they can't have home court advantage, that
Well, but I mean, that was just an example, Phil.
I know. Yeah.
But you know, you have to make it some type. You have to make it competitive some type of way. It's hard to do because a lot of guys are like, "Hey, this is a time for me to take a break."
But that's these new guys, though, Elanis.
but
The old guys didn't need no incentive. They weren't going to let you run up and down the floor.
That's
and
true.
Make layup
That's
after
true.
layup,
But
jump shot after jump shot.
But some of the guys now, you know, they look at it like, hey, this is time for me to take a break. But the All-Star game is where the fans want to see the All-Stars. They want to see the superstars play because they don't get a chance to see them all the time. And especially if you're in a region, you don't get, you know, down here in Texas, we might not see the Sacramento Kings play a lot. But we might not see one of the other teams play a lot, but you know, it's kind of regional, and so you'd like to see some of those superstars or some of those young guys play in the exhibition.
Okay, let me say one thing on this. I really believe that one of the reasons why it's not as competitive as far as at the All-Star games is because a lot of the guys now are worth so much more than guys were back in the 80s and the 90s. Now, I'm going to tell you what I mean by worth more. I'm talking about as far as how much money they earn and how much money they're worth, their net worth, et cetera, et cetera. So what it comes down to is this here. Their valuation is so much higher now than it was back in the 80s and the 90s because of their net worth. And these teams often don't want their players to go all out and risk injury when you make $1 million a year, whereas back in the day, it's only making $1 million a year.
Then why
So
play
these
2
guys,
games?
these guys are worth so much more now to the point where you got so much load management. That's why you got so much load management because they're trying to make it to the end of the season. There's like an asset. They're afraid that the asset's going to fully depreciate before they get to the end of that class life. So what it comes down to is they got to figure out a way how to get these guys to compete. But it's going to be hard to do that when you guys making $60 million a season.
Are the players now better than the players then? What's the difference?
Money, the money. Global, the
That's
game has
not
become
my
so
question.
global.
My question is
Absolutely, players are better
Who's
now.
the better athlete players who made the game better now or later? Okay, Mr.
I think right now the players are better athletes. I think back then players were better players. Hold on, let me finish.
I think it's all
Back
relative.
then the players had better skill. Back then the players had a better skill set. Now the players are just more athletic. That's what I'm saying.
But he had something to say. I want to hear
So
what
the
he
better
has to
skill
say.
set makes
All right,
it-
guys, let our guests come in on this. Amadou, you had a comment.
That's him. Amadou, yeah.
Listen. Whenever you see players now, skill-wise, they're off the charts. Every single player now that plays basketball is completely off the charts as far as, you know, skill. Or because they spend literally a whole year. Kids specialize now in basketball. Kids specialize now in whatever sport they do. So they've been doing it since maybe they're 8, all the way till you're like 30 plus. So the skill is out of this world right now. You may not think that, you may not see it that way, but these guys that play now could go back in the day and dominate.
I got one
You
question.
don't see it.
No.
Yeah,
I got a
no,
question.
it's tough. No,
got a question.
not the
I
skill
see
level.
athletic ability.
I
I don't
got
see
a
skill.
question.
Right.
You think that just started that dude? How do you?
I'm gonna do the great.
37,
Okay,
37.
so you are inclined to stay with your generation, and I totally understand that. Everybody thinks their generation is the better one. That's the truth. That's a
See,
fact.
I'm gonna do. We all
You
in our
can't-
60s, so you gotta realize
I
good
don't think
generation
that
ahead
way.
of me.
When I get older,
I'm just saying.
I'm definitely gonna give it up to the younger generation. I wouldn't be saying
I'm
back in
not
my
taking
day the
nothing
players.
from them. I'm just saying, based on what I know at my age, that I'm not an authority by no means, but I have it on good authority.
Imagine Steph Curry in the 70s.
Imagine putting Walt Frazier on him, and he won't even get it up the court.
Imagine,
Gary
imagine
Payton.
all the-
He doesn't
honest.
need to.
I'm just being
He'll
honest.
shoot the lights
I
out.
can do this all day. I'm not knocking it. I'm trying to give your generation compliment, and I'm just breaking it down to the effective notion that if you meet enough people and talk to them, they're gonna stick with their generation more so. I'm not saying, hey, I still gotta watch you can't go back in the past. You cannot, but you can't go past the future. The only time that counts is right now. I watched Stephen Curry. They didn't even have 3-pointers back in those days, but guys was making them, but they weren't getting credit for it. You know how many more points some guys would have now if they had? But ifs and buts and candy and nuts, every day be Merry Christmas. But it's not. But a shout out to the young guys. All I'm saying is we like what we like. We understand what we understand, and that's just simple.
Go ahead, Biggie.
Don't forget about the Detroit Pistons and the physicality of the 1970s and 80s. There was no, you can't hold a touching player right now. So you got to understand the equalizer, the physicality of that time period. That was the equalizer, the physicality. Ask Michael Jordan when he played against the Pistons. Ask him when he played against the Celtics. The physicality is the difference.
Very much so. I mean, you go back and look at some of those Jordan highlights. You say, I would have been fighting every game. And he did have some fights, but for him to follow through and become the greatest player of all time in that era, come on, man. You got to give him his props even more. Talking about, the players today, the trades that just happened, do we see any significance in those trades yet? Jeff, what do you think? I don't see anything just yet. Maybe Jimmy Butler has started to make a difference.
So far, the only trade that has produced any tangible results is the Jimmy Butler trade relative to it equating to wins. With Butler, right now, the Golden State Warriors are 3-1 since they traded for Butler. So far, that trade is working out fine. But the other trades, they're struggling. As you know, Doncic just got back, and they lost the first 2 games after he got back. They were playing better when they didn't have him. And now that they have him, then they lost straight before they won last night. But the other teams, they're still adjusting to the guys adjusting to the new team. So none of those other teams are better than 2-2 at this point. Everybody else is still adjusting. Like for instance, De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox going to the Spurs. They 2-2, but he's played well, but they still only 2-2. And then Lakers, they're sitting at 2-1, and then you have other teams that are sitting at 2-2. So basically, at this point, the team that's done the best was the Golden State Warriors, picking up Jimmy Butler so far to this point.
I think
Butler
is going to make an impact. Go ahead. Somebody talking? Is that you want to do?
Butler makes an impact. Butler makes an impact because Butler does not play the same position that Steph plays. Simple. Luka plays the same position that LeBron plays. So who defends? Nobody. De'Aaron Fox, Wemby's gone. So what's going to happen?
I watched the San Antonio and Phoenix Suns game last night. Phoenix has talent. They can score anybody, but they don't play defense.
By the way, that game was played in Austin.
Defense is the key. And that is going to be the key all the way around. I think Jimmy Butler can play some defense. He's played it in the past. But whoever makes that impact on defense is going to be the ones that's going to kind of move the needle a little bit. And we're going to see how that plays out. But it's going to be very interesting. Any other comments on trades?
Hey, Carl, real quick.
Hold on, Jeff. Go ahead, Didi.
Well, I think that the Dallas trade is going to be the worst trade in the last 30 years. I think that was the worst trade that you could make for Dallas as well as the Lakers. That's just my opinion. I don't think it's going. I don't
Why
even think
so? Why?
No defense. They have nobody to play defense. I mean, and also there's only one basketball. Luka got to have the ball in the hands 70% of the time. In order to, that's the way he operates. So what do you do with the rest of the players? That is the problem.
They didn't want to give Luka that supermax deal that's going to pay him somewhere around $75 million a season. That's what all that came down to. They didn't that money, that big contract. So they got rid of him.
They didn't think he was worth it, I guess. They didn't think he was worth it. But in my opinion, he's a white European all-star who brought people to the stands, as well as he valued ratings. If I had the money, I would have went ahead and paid him, and you could have had other people around him. And they just went to the championship the year before. I can't see that being a factor. And he's 25 years old. So if you're going to compete in the NBA, there was no reason to make that trade, my opinion.
I don't think that if they still had the owner, the majority owner, it was still the same majority owner, I don't think they'd have made that trade. I don't think Mark Cuban would have made that trade. But now he's a...
Well, he said he wouldn't have made it.
Right, exactly. I think it's the new ownership there.
But
new ownership.
Look, so what about the other end of that with Davis? What do you guys think was the issue in LA? You hear rumblings on him not being happy in the clubhouse and things like that. What do you guys think that was part of it?
I just think LA saw an opportunity to get a marquee star, and they said, "Okay, we'll give him up, and we don't care what LeBron says."
I think
that's as simple as what it was.
Elanis, I kind of agree with Carl. I think that LA was looking for a guy who's going to be the heir apparent to LeBron James. I really believe that's what that was. But then, guess what? That's what we were thinking, that LeBron was going to walk out the door at the end of the season and retire. But guess what? LeBron just signs a 2-year contract extension for $97 million. So LeBron says, I'm not. So.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
And Davis.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and it's going to play out. And we'll take a look at what's going to happen eventually with these trades. They're going to make some impact. College basketball, anybody seen that world out there? We still know Cooper Flagg is Cooper Flagg is the #1 college prospect. And from what I see, he is much quicker than Larry Bird, but he can shoot from the outside. I'm not saying, see, the thing about Larry Bird, commenting on you, Amadou, what you were saying, is he had a mentality of winning and skill, and these players don't necessarily have that as easily today. Their whole mentality is different, because of the world they came up with, and he had a mentality that was about winning and competing, and you have to develop that. And that's very important. But Cooper Flagg, as far as I can tell, he has that. Who are some of the other players that are out there and the teams out there in college basketball who are doing this?
Well, the kid that I saw personally early on in the season out of Auburn, Johnny Broome, is a heck of a basketball player. I saw him with my own eyes over at the Toyota Center when they came into Houston to play the University of Houston Cougars. And he looked like a #1 overall pick. I mean, he looks the part. Flagg is a heck of a basketball player too. So those, in my opinion, are the 2 top college basketball players.
And describe this player you're talking about from Auburn. What's his size? What position he play?
They use him as a 5. He's about 6'10", 7 foot, somewhere in there, 6'11", 7 foot.
He's 6'8", 6'9".
But he moves extremely well. He can handle the ball. He can shoot. He rebounds well. He's a heck of a basketball player. He has a lot of moves around the basket. Some good old school drop steps.
Last Saturday.
Huh?
They just beat Alabama last Saturday.
Yeah, he's a heck of a basketball player. I saw him with my own eyes at the Toyota Center, and he can work both sides of the basket. Heck of a defender. He can block shots. He rebounds extremely well. He knows how to make the right outlet. He looks really good on a basketball court. To me, he's a top player. I would expect him to go 1 overall, but Flag is obviously athletic and can shoot it and do a lot of things too on the court.
Okay, Armadou, what you see down there in college basketball in New York?
I don't watch college basketball. Sorry, guys.
All right, well, that's fair enough. That's fair enough, but you are down there with some basketball powerhouses.
Go see St. John's. They real good, man.
Such as St. John's. So you
I live in upstate New York, and all the basketball stuff goes down in downstate New York, minus Syracuse. Syracuse is close to me, but
okay, the Orangemen ain't bad. They're not bad.
they're competitive, but they haven't fielded a team that's worth.
I believe U of H is playing. I believe U of H is playing today. U of H is number 5. We recently remember
they play tomorrow.
U of H had lost all of their prominence from the Phi Slamma Jamma days, and they had a cycle of unprepared and unfulfilling coaches who did not put the program up there. But they just had a big shout out to the coach. Jeff, what's the coach name?
Sampson.
And
Sampson.
He's about 72. He has brought that program back to prominence. It's just a matter of time, I think, before he's in that final game and wins a championship that Guy Lewis did not win. But
right now, Houston's ranked number 5. They moved up to the fifth rank. A&M, Texas A&M has moved up to the number 7 rank, and Texas Tech is now ranked number 9. So Texas got 3 teams: Houston, Texas A&M, and Texas Tech ranked in the top 9. So that's outstanding for Texas to have 3 teams.
The Big 12 is one of the most dynamic conferences in the country when it comes to college basketball. You have University of Houston, you have Texas Tech that you just mentioned.
Texas A&M.
What's that?
Texas A&M. Texas A&M.
Well, A&M is a Southeast Conference, but the Big 12, excuse me. You have some power. Iowa State. Those guys. Those are all Big 12 schools. And
that's
so
they plays tomorrow on national TV.
Sound like
Iowa State and U of H.
Yeah.
Sound like it's at the level that like the Big East and the ACC used to be in, and that cycle, kind of changes with the teams that you have, and they've been changing over the years also. But does sound like the Big 12 is strong.
Well,
women's basketball is very prominent also. I'm still hearing about Juju and all the things that she's doing at USC.
Oh,
and then you got the girl at Connecticut, but across the board. And I do believe Unrivaled has brought some attention to women's basketball. Unrivaled is the 3-on-3 basketball tournament that they have. I think it has done what they had tried to have it do. So, but women's basketball, Jeff, we got to go see a couple of games.
Yeah. Notre Dame is number 1 in women's basketball now, Carl. Notre Dame is sitting at 22-2, number 1 in women's basketball. Just letting you know, South Carolina's 2 and UCLA is 3. But Texas is 2. University of Texas is 2. Texas is 2. And South Carolina's 3. But hey, I like what Notre Dame has done. Wow, they really coming on.
And who's that player for Notre Dame?
Hidalgo. Yeah.
Okay.
So the ladies got it.
We're going to hear about some of these athletes that are prominent in college basketball in the WNBA, and it's going to keep rising. Maybe their salaries are going to get to a level, not on the same level as the NBA, but certainly a better level for them and more appropriate for the effort that they're putting out, I believe. Jeff, I see you looking crazy at me. What you got?
No. Quick question. No, I was going to go back. For both of you, all of you. Then, as far as the women, NCAA women's basketball, do they have to stay 3 years, or can they come out after 1 year like the men? What's the rules for
I've
them?
never seen anybody come out after 1 year. I think they generally stay 3 to 4.
Somebody's going to challenge that, though. I know somebody's going to challenge that.
I don't know.
That's a good question.
Is that the rule? Is that the rule?
No, that's a good question.
Yeah,
we're going to research that. I would think that that's an NCAA rule, and so it should apply to both the men and women's sports.
No, men can come out after.
Now, Angel Reese stayed 4 years.
She only played 3.
Angel Reese only played 3.
You have to stay. Women must be different. I don't know why they don't come out, but men are still 1 and done.
But their salaries were not at a level that
exactly.
It certainly made sense for them to come out up until now. Now, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese have changed that where they might can get $500,000 coming out right now.
Probably.
Well, the NIL helps changed it too.
Yeah, well, I haven't heard any women coming out after 1 year yet.
They were able
NIL is big for the women in college basketball. NIL is big for women in college basketball.
Hey, Phil,
and
Juju.
It doesn't make sense for you to make $1 million in college and make 70,000. It doesn't make sense for you to come out and make 70,000 while you can make $1 million in college in 1 year. So it's in their best interest that they hang out for the full 3 years or maybe even 4 years. Not Juju. Angel Reese was making almost $1 million in college.
She did.
And then she came to the WNBA. Yeah, came to the WNBA. Was like, I'm barely paying my rent. My rent's $8,000 a month.
That's why she's
not paying it.
But
I think
she has some
she
endorsements now.
it, though. I think she and Caitlin Clark.
I haven't heard that yet.
Dynamic.
We'll see if the draft come out this year. What the rankings are when the ladies come out this year, we'll find out. But I don't think that's something that has happened yet. It probably will, but it hasn't happened yet.
I know Angel stayed 3 of her 4 years, and then Caitlin stayed out 4 years.
Came out last year if that's the case.
That's what I was going to ask you about Juju. When is she a sophomore?
I just
sophomore. Hidalgo and Juju are both sophomores. No red shirt, just straight sophomores.
So my question is, can they come out this summer?
I don't know.
I just don't think, but I don't know this for a fact. I would find it hard for the NCAA to have 2 separate rules for women's sports and men's sports.
But they're all under the same rule. They're all under the same
because they're all under the same umbrella. Huh?
He has a point, Elanis.
Definitely men can come out. It may be a WNBA rule, but I don't know. But for as women, Hidalgo could have came out. She'd have got picked last year. Juju would have got picked. So I don't think it's in effect yet if it's going to happen. But I do know.
Oh, you're saying the league, the WNBA
may have something because the
have something in place where it says that you can't come out.
Maybe.
Perhaps. I can see Juju coming out after this year. So we're going to see. I think somebody's going to.
But they qualified, but we haven't seen it happen. Caitlin was qualified way before that. So was Angel. I mean, if it happened, it just happened because it hasn't happened before. Everybody has come out, has been almost used up all their eligibility since the WNBA been in existence.
Yeah, you're right. So it may be something the WNBA have in place.
I have a side question I want to ask Dee. Lamar, what's his name? LeVar Ball. He just had a situation where he had his foot amputated. Do you think as a father, he went overboard, did too much? And in the same question, Deion Sanders, do you think he's doing too much for his kids? Or both of those fathers, from that perspective?
I don't think so. I think that what I liked about both of the guys, of course, especially Lamar, he might have said some things that rubbed people the wrong way, but I understand the whole purpose. You know, you look at both of these black men, and they are setting the precedent for being black fathers, and they're standing up for their sons, which the world or our society give us this stereotypical image that black men don't stand up for their children. So I like it for that point is that they are standing up for their kids. They are selling their kids. They are promoting their kids. And with Lamar, it all worked out well because he got at least 2 sons in the NBA and one probably playing in the European League. So I can't fault him for that. And the same thing with
Dion.
Sanders. You know, I really commend them. You know, because they are breaking they're breaking some barriers about Black fathers. So that's all I got to say about that. So no, I agree with what they're doing.
Okay. Amadou.
Yeah.
Comment on what you think about LeVar Ball as a father.
LeVar Ball as a father is A+ to me. Here's why. He got 2 sons in the NBA. The third one that was borderline in the NBA made him a superstar rapper. Life is good. Every one of his sons that he says will do well, they all did well. He proclaimed that I would make my sons a success. Not according to what he said, but the effort that he put behind it to manifest this proclamation. Who doesn't want that for their kids? There's a lot of Caucasian male father figures that do the same thing for their kids, and you don't hear a word about it. LeVar Ball was a little bit more boisterous with his approach, but what he proclaimed, all my sons are going to be successful. Lonzo Ball, successful. LaMelo Ball, successful.
What you think about Deion
aka
Sanders?
Jello. Deion Sanders, he's doing. I'm on board with that 110%. Build a legacy for your kids to follow and put them in the right position for them to be able to come and inherit that. There's a lot of Caucasian fathers that are doing this for their kids. Why not black fathers doing it for their kids? Why not put your kids in a position to succeed, to have generational wealth, and be able to turn back around and give it to the community if you can.
Sounds good.
So,
sounds powerful.
Both fathers.
That is a powerful outlook. There is a whole lot of NBA fathers that they have their sons in the NBA. One of them is Jabari Smith. He played in the NBA. Now his son is with the Rockets. Jeff, is he going to start back when he comes back?
That's a good. They play tonight. I'm not even watching. I don't even have my TV on. I don't know. I'm not sure if he's starting or not. I have not heard if he's starting or not. I know he's playing a lot. He says there's going to be no restrictions on his minutes, but he said it doesn't matter to him whether or not he started or not. He just want to play. So I'm not sure what their decision is on that.
I think he's a big difference with the Rockets. Now, Amen Thompson is good and great, but when you have height, you can't teach height. He's 6'11", and he can spread out the team a little bit more. He can back up and help Alperen Sengun from the weak side and make blocks and different things. I think he makes a difference with that team, and they went 12-10 while he was out. I think it makes a difference. What do you all think about the Rockets? What you think, DD?
I really like what the coach did. You know, they're a competitive team. They're not just competitive, but they're going to be in the playoffs. So I don't really know all the starters of the team other than the one you mentioned, but the Rockets can compete with anybody on any day. So this is all attributed to the coach that they brought in. He's done a great job of putting that team back competitive and up to make the playoffs again.
What you think, Elanis?
I agree with that, Dennis. The coach has done a fantastic job in building a winning culture with the organization. He's done a great job, but the youngsters look good. I've had an opportunity to watch them play live a couple of times this season already, and I like what I see on the court. I wish that Smith would be a little bit more physical. I think he could step up his physicality on the court a little bit better, and really kind of help out on the boards more and play a little bit better defense and score the basketball. I just think he needs to step his game up a notch, and that comes with the physicality part of it. But what I've seen, the veterans in Brooks and Van Vliet were great additions because they've been there, they understand the game, and the youngsters are kind of feeding off what they know and what they have. But I think that was a great hire and bringing in the coach from Boston. They look good. They really look good. I just hope that they can stay healthy the second half of the season and see where they'll end up.
Phil, where you think they're gonna end up?
They're gonna do well, Carl. But first of all, Carl, you might want to check your email. I think Clarissa Seals just sent you an email. It kind of passed through here, and I saw a little bit of it. But anyway, that's a joke.
I sent her one.
I thought it came to me by accident. It was for you, Carl. But anyway, yeah, I think everything they said about the coach Udoka, his presence makes a difference. I think the problem they have, getting some of the players to come on board and play defense, because he's a defensive-minded coach first. You can score the basketball off of defense a lot, but he's put a good plan in place, and they just have to implement it. Like Didi said, stay healthy, and like Elanis said, they're young, they're aggressive, and I've always said, any way you cut it, Al Prince Lagoon is a good basketball player no matter where you play him.
No, all-star now. It's an
all-star.
That too, but we had some opposition when I was saying that 2 years ago.
Not me.
I didn't say you.
I never spoke against
various people, and it's true. I just stuck it out, and I just believe he's a good. I didn't say he was a center. I didn't say he was a forward. He's a basketball player.
He's a good ball player.
For those who don't know, I just want to give a little background. Last week, I mentioned that I believe I can beat Clarissa Shields. I'm 63. I say, even at 63, I'm a man. And men have certain qualities
knocked out
that a
in
woman
1
could
minute.
not. Why you laughing?
Amadou.
You get knocked out in 1 minute.
Talk to your friend here.
Hey, Carl, Chief Convention, you better run. That's all. You better run.
I'm telling you.
Okay.
Get knocked out in 1 minute.
Y'all think about that. I'm gonna send her an email.
Thank you for the laughter, man. I appreciate that.
Train me, and we'll see. But Amadou, let me ask you: do you follow the New York Knicks?
I do not follow basketball.
Oh, you don't? Well, the Rockets played them.
I follow LeBron. Hold on. I follow LeBron James. I don't follow basketball. Just LeBron James.
LeBron,
that's exactly what I said earlier.
The greatest thing that ever happened since sliced white bread.
You just made my case for me,
one guy.
when I said that guys generally, I didn't say it was official. I didn't say it was I was an authority on it, but you tend to stick with the guys of your era. I promise you, if he had never seen Dr. J play, there would have been no Michael Jordan. If he hadn't seen Michael Jordan play, there'd be no LeBron James.
Yeah, he probably went to school with LeBron. they about the same age.
Nah.
But hey, who you guys think?
I'm a fan of LeBron. I follow him.
See, that's
okay.
his favorite player.
Who you guys think?
Who
do you guys think is the hottest team in the NBA right now? Let me tell you. Who do you think is the hottest team in the NBA right now?
You're gonna tell us, Jeff? Who?
No, I want to guess. Somebody give me a guess.
I don't have a guess. I want you to tell me. I don't know.
Well, they just started back playing, Jeff.
Huh?
They just started back playing.
No. In the last 10 games or so. The last 10 games. Okay, I tell you.
Charlotte.
The Nuggets have come out of nowhere and won 9 straight. The Denver Nuggets. Oh no, they're now number 2 in the West now.
They're not coming out of nowhere. They're not coming out of nowhere. They're not coming out of nowhere. Don't say that.
And they're not won 9 straight.
The Nuggets not coming out of nowhere. They were champions.
Then all you know is LeBron James. Man.
You all have heard the Texans are seeking a new stadium or upgrades. Do you think they're going to do that?
I'm trying to figure out how is it that they can say having upgrades is more expensive than building an entire new stadium. I can't fathom that. I don't know how you can say I'm gonna upgrade my home and add another room
because you have to work through guidelines
versus building a new house. I don't get that.
When you're doing upgrades, what happens is you have spaces that you have to work within, right? Versus building a whole new stadium, you don't have to be careful for here, be careful for this corner, be careful for that corner. You just go ahead and build
So
And
how does
rise up
that
and build up the structure.
equate cost? How does that
That makes
equate
sense.
cost?
Yeah, it sounds crazy. I tell you, I've been going around the country and I've been looking at a lot of the stadiums, and I've been seeing that. I've been to Kansas City, of course, New Orleans, Cincinnati. I've been to a lot of the stadiums, and I'm trying to figure out what is the best stadium. I think Detroit Pontiac Stadium is pretty good. I'm going to go down there first again.
They don't play at Pontiac no more, Carl. They play at Ford Field.
That's right. That's
I
right.
think AT&T Stadium in Dallas. I think that's a heck of a stadium in the top 3. I think the stadiums that are the top stadiums are the ones that was more recently built. That's just how it is. You got to realize in Houston that was built 23 years ago. So quite naturally, you've had a lot of cities that built stadiums since then. That's better.
But Carl,
go ahead.
Kansas City is playing in a 60-year-old stadium. Exactly. They sell that thing out every year, every game. So explain to me, how is it that a 60-year-old stadium versus a 23, 24-year-old stadium can sell out and withstand the elements, withstand everything that we don't have here in Houston? And they're not looking to build a new stadium. They just upgrade what's going on.
It's called Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, and they winning.
Well, that should be just the opposite. That should be able to get them a new stadium. That should be able to get them a new stadium. Success.
But they don't
should be able to get them a new stadium.
They probably could, but he's talking about the cost of what it takes to remodel and build a new one. I'm with him on that.
Now, you all got to be honest about this. Had the Oilers went to the Super Bowl, we would have had a whole different history. We had a different stadium. The Oilers would still be here.
But Bud Adams and our mayor got in a peeing contest.
Correct.
And that wasn't even necessary. We still have the Oilers. I'm like Earl Campbell. Earl Campbell said, look, I didn't play for no Tennessee Titans. I played for the Houston Oilers. Right. They can take them records and do what they want to, but my records stay in Houston.
Exactly. But not only that, they're coming. McNair is coming back and asking the public to front the bill. I mean, this is it's amazing. It's 23 years. He's asking the public to come back and front the bill and build him a new stadium.
That stadium is nice. I don't care what nobody.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what upgrades they need.
Yeah. Sometimes guys do that. Owners will do that when they want to move. When they want to move, and they're getting as much opposition as possible.
And that's what Bud Adams did.
What upgrades do they need?
2 times.
Upgrades got to do with more fancy, more highfalutin luxury boxes where they can get much more money. That's where it always comes down to. The luxury boxes. They want to have those $1 million luxury boxes.
You win the Super Bowl, you have all the fans you want, all the money you want.
Don't say that, Dennis. That's true.
Everything you need. Okay, like you said, Kansas City, that old stadium, I don't even want to go because it's so old and it's not comfortable, especially when it gets cold. You know, I went to the Washington Commanders game, not this year, but last year, and I was just amazed how old the stadium was. And it was cold.
Where were you at?
We went to DC and we went to the Commanders game.
Huh?
Yeah, that's where it was, and it was cold. It's like when I go to the Texas game, I'm comfortable.
Well,
Thank you.
I think Green Bay has might have the oldest stadium in the league in Lambeau.
I bet you're right. I bet you're right.
Yeah, I mean, it's what the fans accept. It's what the fans accept, and the fans in Kansas City and Green Bay, they okay with that. They feel they are part of the elements, and that's a part of their personality. So now we in Houston, but those two teams have won. When we win, we'll be able to put up with more also and be able to demand more. So we haven't won yet. No time, no Super Bowl. So we'll see.
Not even AFC Championship.
Exactly.
Right.
We haven't even got to the AFC Championship game.
Exactly. At least we went twice with the Oilers back to back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way. Now that's a shame. I mean, we could talk about that, but that's in the past 20 years at least. So, but you know, that's how it was.
Hey, Carl, one other
Baseball is
topic.
about to start. What do
Go
we
ahead.
think about the Astros moving Altuve to the outfield? And is that going to make a difference? And are they going to do anything? Elanis, our baseball expert, first vote.
I don't like the move. I prefer to keep him where he is, and I don't know who you put in that particular spot. I'm assuming that they're probably trying to crawl up one of the youngsters. They have a young kid in Bryce Matthews who's from Houston, and the Astros drafted him number 1. He's actually out of Atascocita, and he went up to Nebraska and played. And the Astros drafted him number 1. He's a heck of a ball player too, and so he's going to be probably on the roster, and it probably has an opportunity to break with the club this year. They need a third baseman. They just got rid of Bregman. But I wouldn't move Altuve from second base. He's a second baseman. He's one of the best second basemen in the league right now. Yes, you do need to shore up your outfield play a little bit with some more skilled guys. You got Tucker's gone, so you're going to lose some power there. And you got to try to figure out, where do I get that production and power from the outfield position. So they have some things that they need to work on, but it all comes down to pitching. That's what baseball is. Good pitching always stops good hitting, and that's just the way it is. That's just how it is, because that's the sport. I mean, you know, if a guy is successful at the plate 3 out of 10 times, he's considered a heck of a ball player, a heck of a baseball player. You can't do that in football or basketball, have a 30% shooting percentage and say you're one of the top shooters in basketball. But in baseball, it's a defensive pitching game. And so you have to start on the mound with pitching. And that's where you can really, really, really excel. But I think they'll figure out how to add some production offensively this season.
Well, in the Tucker trade, it was only made because they wanted their top prospect at third base. That's the guy that they really have projected to get that spot. The guy you're talking about, he's awesome. I watched him a little bit in the Big 12 tournament last year.
Right.
And right before the draft, and they were talking. He's a big dude too. And he's eventually gonna be on the team. I see him as a first baseman, the way he's built.
Well, they might run him in the outfield, Phil.
Maybe he's versatile enough. But the guy they traded with in the Tucker deal for the Cubs, that's the guy they want to play third base. And we don't know if he's going to do it or not. But I'm like you. I'd rather see Altuve stay at second base. But again, I refer to him like I do Sedin. He's a baseball. He can play anywhere you put him pretty much. Because for one thing, his bat is always going to be productive. Right. And if they just want to DH him, he would be good. But second base is where he needs to be. They need him there. Right. So we'll see what happens with this guy that they got from the Cubs. And he's supposed to be one of the top prospects, and they wouldn't have made the Tucker trade without him.
So they got a lot of new players. They do not have Bregman anymore, a mainstay of the Astros. They do not have Tucker. And now Altuve is in the outfield, almost like a whole new team. Is Framber still there, the pitcher? Left-handed?
Yeah. He's there.
He signed a new contract.
Yeah, he's there. He's not going anywhere.
So it's a whole lot of new players. It's a whole new outlook. We'll see if they continue the winning tradition that we've had. So we'll see about the Astros. We'll see how it goes.
The stadium got a new name now. It ain't Juice Box no more.
Yep. Right. Dakin.
Yeah, that name is kind of strange, but it's all about the money. It's all about the money and the naming rights and so forth. So we are at the end of our show. We talked about a whole lot of things. People have comments? Go ahead.
I have a comment. Tonight, you got Jack Yates versus Bridge City tonight. JY coming in at 21-6, going up against Bridge City at 24-10. This is the second round of high school playoffs tonight. That game started a little over an hour and a half ago. It may be over by now. You got Bel Air versus Cinco Ranch tonight. You got Stafford, who's 34-0, going up against La Vega at 18-2. You got Wheatley Wildcats going up against Silsbee tonight. Wheatley sitting at 23-7, and then you got Booker T. Washington, the best team in our district, at 26-4, going up against Hudson tonight. So you got a lot of high school basketball tonight. So it's going to be hot. It's going to be hot.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. We're going to come back to you. DD, you got a final statement about sports?
Oh, no, I'm just excited for track season to kick off. Can't wait till it get hot so we can have some track meets. It's too cold. All the track meets have been canceled.
This year, I don't know if I mentioned it, I'm going to Philadelphia for the Penn Relays. I look forward to that. That's supposed to be one of the best track relays in the nation. I think it's Penn, it's Drake, it's Texas, then it's TSU. So I'm gonna go to TSU and
what about the one in Oregon
relays.
with the Steve Prefontaine track meets?
You're correct. Prefontaine is pretty good also in Oregon. Yes. And Oregon has a top program, probably the top program in the country. So track is always good. The U.S. relays and our competitors are world-renowned and the top-notch track people, especially in sprints in the world. You have a final statement, Amadou, on sports?
Did you hear Tyreek Hill has agreed to race Noah Lyles? It's gonna go down.
I think, a lot of that got to do with bravado, because a lot of people are down on Noah Lyles because of his bravado, and somebody gonna take him on. But he is fast. You can't take that away from him.
Oh no, I'm not taking that away from him. It's pure entertainment for me as a fan. Pure entertainment. I know Noah Lyles is gonna win, but Tyreek Hill's like, hey, I'm the fastest man in the NFL. But I got to lose.
Yeah,
so it's all fun.
I want to check that out. I want to see it. Elanis, you have a final statement on sports?
Yes, I'm going to stick with baseball. As a baseball purist, I'm a little upset at Major League Baseball trying to implement the ABS automated ball strike system, where you can question whether or not a pitch is a ball or strike. Obviously, the pitcher, catcher, or batters are the only three guys that can question balls and strikes. The manager can't. But I just don't like the fact that we're trying to use all this automation to implement in the game of baseball. It takes away from the human aspect of the game, in my opinion.
Right, I agree.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where our life is going. AI, it's going to be an AI hologram out there calling the game in a little bit. So I don't know.
They used it in the minor leagues, where they used it kind of a full system, which I just don't agree with that, where you have a computer calling balls or strikes. You're just doing away with jobs, and you're taking away the human aspect of the game.
That's going to be in every market segment. Just about every market segment is going to be run by computers.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Phil, you got a final statement?
Well, I know one area that AI ain't going to be nowhere no time soon, and that would be in the moving and storage business. When they can start picking up furniture, when they can start loading trucks, when they can drive trucks cross country, cross town all by themselves, then watch out. But back to sports. Just thought I'd do that because I'm going to give you another plug in a second. Bottom line is, you guys have been fabulous tonight to listen to learn from, and to hear your voices of opinion. But Elanis just made a case for me again. Guys tend to stick with what they know.
They know.
Pitcher, catcher, batter. I bet you I'm gonna say, man, go ahead on, take that AI machine. It's time for a change, We need a little. No, we don't.
Right. I agree, Phil.
Yeah, here's the plug. Hey guys,
no, listen,
moving and
right? The game of baseball needs to speed up a little bit. The game of baseball needs to speed up a little bit.
They did speed it up. Have you noticed in the last few years that the games are a lot faster? You can't.
Yeah.
You can't scratch and touch and feel in the box for 10 minutes. You can't walk around the mound, throw the rods back, and do circus tricks with it. and the umpire comes out when the guys meet out at the huddle on the mound, everything is speeded up. No AI I'm gonna do now. It's time for a plug. Hey guys, A-Rocket, Moving and Storage, proud sponsor of this fantastic podcast. We do full service moving. We have a 62,000 square foot climate control building to store your household goods. We move interstate, commercial, home. Just give us a call, 713-748-6024, 3401 quarter, and you can find us on the web, www.arocket.com, and you don't even need the www no more, just arocket.com. Ask for me, Philip Green, and if you say you heard it on this show, I'll give you a 10 to 15% discount on your move. Anytime, just call A-Rocket, come by and see us. I'll give you a tour of the facility and get you going for whatever your household needs are for your moving and storage needs.
A-Rocket, Moving and Storage.
Outstanding.
A sponsor of the show, a great helper. Thank you. A-Rocket Moving. Phil, turn show that up and turn it over. You showed the back of it.
Oh yeah. Here is the front part. Here is the storage unit that we just built. And we have these brochures and pamphlets. I pass them out everywhere I go, plus business cards. And we are proudly owned second generation company by DeAndre Sam, who went to school elementary with me and Jeff, went to junior high with me and Carl. We graduated high school together. We played basketball from Little League Baseball, junior high football, junior high basketball, high school. That's as far as our careers took us, but we stuck with A-Rocket the whole time doing this.
Amen.
His family owned it. I stuck around there, got my first set of business cards at 12 years old, but we went places, did things, learned the city, and we can handle any kind of household item, commercial, office, you name it. But at the same time, we enjoy sports, and he's always proud to know that we're doing something good with the sponsorship, and hopefully I'll get him on here one day, but he's a pretty busy guy. Nice. But I told him about all the things we're doing, and I go and show him the show, send this show out around to so many people, and I'm just glad when everybody can come together and have a good time like we did tonight. This is fun.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
Just want to say that we are open for sponsorship. So if you know anyone else that has a business and wants to be promoted on Sportstake, we open for them, and we look forward to sharing our stage with them. Jeff, finish us out with the sports word.
Well, having said all of that, guys, hey, I want to thank everyone. Thank all of our guests that came on. Elanis Westbrook, man, wow, that's been 47 years since last time I saw you in Austin. Outstanding. I'm going to do the great.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to do the great. Thank you, sir. Thank you. First time we get a chance to meet you. Outstanding. And my boy, Dennis Brantley. Appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you. So hey, we next show is 2 weeks from tonight, and then we're gonna have our March Madness show. Excuse me?
March 7th.
March 7th. Then we're gonna have our March Madness show. So we got a lot of sports coming up, guys. Got a lot of stuff we're gonna cover, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. So with that being said, we appreciate it. Appreciate everyone. Appreciate you, Phil. Appreciate you, Carl.
I'll send everybody a copy. And we look forward to any feedback that you have, and tell people about the show. If they want to know about sports, if they want to hear about sports, tell them to check out Sportstake. We thank you. We'll see you next time.
Right on, man. Thank you.